You know the scenario. You walk into the audition room, it's strangely quiet. There's 3 to 5 people sitting behind a table, often men.
Always men, usually gay.
Then you go to the accompanist to give them the music. You're actually kind of comforted because you know they're like the one neutral person in the room. And then they start asking you questions you didn't expect them to ask. You know, music questions. Those things you don't know because I'm an actor, I don't read music. So you answer them with words that you don't remember because you're completely blacked out with nerves at this point. They respond okay, but they're actually completely confused because they have no idea what you want them to do and they've had to play many different people's music. Auditions aren't easy for accompanists either. Anyway, you go ahead and start the audition. Try to find something in the background to stare at. The accompanist is playing your music either too fast or too slow or both. And you don't want to start over because they already have a super pissed off look on their face and you don't want to make it any worse. So you continue singing and then you realize you have no breath. After about a second or two of singing into a line, you realize you run out of air. You're running on nervous vibrato. But you think, it's okay, as long as I hit that one high note, I'll be okay. And then squeak. The misery is over, they say thank you say thank you leave, and then you go crawl into the nearest trash can and question your career decisions. Let's try to avoid that. Hello theater freaks, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about how to try to avoid that situation and why we get so dang nervous at auditions. With COVID restrictions being lifted everywhere, we're starting to see auditions start to come back. So let me just get this out of the way. There are many videos on YouTube that have lists of techniques that you can do to handle nerves. Many blogs that you can Google that are 10 or 20 things you can do to calm down before your audition. There are lists of do's and don'ts. Don't drink caffeine before your audition or milk, do a breathing exercise or like a muscle tension exercise, and all those things are very important. But I'm just gonna get out of the way that there are so many of those, I don't think I'd be providing value if I just kind of regurgitated all those techniques. This video I want to be much more foundational and important. I want to talk about why we get nervous, not just from a biological standpoint, what parts of our brains are going off. No, I mean like psychologically, what's really going on when we're nervous? Why is it we get so deathly nervous before an audition, even if we've done many auditions, even if we know the director? I think the reason we get nervous, fundamentally, is that for some reason we don't believe in ourselves. In general, like the thing you have to keep in mind is when you're doing an acting audition, you have to be the character and identify with the character and not with being the person in the audition room trying to please your director. That's very important, but with singing, sometimes that's not quite enough. You have to be able to manage your breath. It can be really hard to forget that you're, to some degree, in an audition room. Like that, at least a piece of that's going to be in there. And again, I think the reason is we don't believe in ourselves. Now, why do we not believe in ourselves? I'm going to go through over a few reasons, mainly 3 big reasons. And I'm going to start with the most common and least dramatic, and then we're going to get a little deeper and more psychotherapy-ish, I guess. So the first reason, this is quite common, is that you probably just haven't practiced enough. It's kind of a cliche, but people say practice makes perfect. How many auditions have you done where you actually haven't really practiced that much? I don't count singing in the shower or singing in the car. I mean like actually practicing in front of a mirror or another person, or probably the best thing you can do is to audition in front of a camera and then watch yourself and actually really deeply introspect as to what sounds good and what doesn't. And I think we have this intuition when we don't really practice. We just kind of trick ourselves into thinking, oh, well, I'll get it. I know how to sing in front of people. I do it on stage all the time. But then, like I said at the beginning of the video, you walk into the audition room and you're like, oh, I forgot about this atmosphere. It is so nervous and quiet and everyone's staring at me and judging me. Like, you know, people say it all the time. It's way more nerve-wracking to audition than to actually do a performance in front of hundreds of people, because at least those hundreds of people aren't judging you the same way. Never forget that auditions are always different. They put you in a state of mind of like your deepest fears. Okay, I'm trying not to get too rambling, but the point is actually practice for real, because the muscle memory will kick in when you're nervous. The feeling of losing your breath is not going to happen when you actually practice singing, because everything in your body is going to fall into that tread path that you made. See, here's what's important. It's okay to be nervous when you walk in, but as long as you practice, you won't be nervous when you start singing. You'll fall into that, that comfort that you established from practice. Oh, one thing I want to say, yeah, it can be hard if you have roommates or you live in a New York apartment with really thin walls. It can be really self-conscious, but trust me, like, people don't hear you as much as you think they do. Right now, I'm actually recording this at home, and I have roommates who work from home, and I've never heard them comment before about anything I've said in my video, because they're just doing their own thing. Okay, I think I pretty much made my point on that. The second reason you maybe don't believe in yourself is because you actually do need to work on something. Like maybe you're actually not the best singer that you could be, so just naturally you're not as comfortable as you could be singing. Hands up if you're actually confident in your voice and you actually do believe you're a very good singer. That's okay, by the way, if it's true. And chances are, if you're maybe not as good as you could be, that might add to your lack of confidence. Lying to yourself is a lot harder than it is to lie to someone else. Going back to that, you should practice in front of a camera thing. What I recommend actually is think of a singer who you kind of want to emulate. You would record yourself singing in front of a camera, maybe of one of his songs, and then you would watch a video of him singing that song, watch a video of you, and literally deeply introspect and think about, what is it that makes him sound better than me specifically? You just have to be radically self-honest. Okay, my final point, the reason why we possibly don't believe in ourselves, maybe even if you are a really good singer, you may legitimately have some emotional trauma that you haven't worked through from either a vocal coach or a teacher or even a parent or loved one who just told you that singing's just not for you or that you suck. And it's like you kind of hear that person's voice when you audition. There may just be someone who convinces us that we're just terrible, even though like a vast majority of teachers maybe say that you're really good or that you shouldn't quit singing, but that one person who told you that you should kind of sticks with you. So that's the case too. There could be a lot of emotional trauma, and it might even help, you know, if you have a therapist or something, to maybe bring it up. It may not seem as important as other, like, you know, problematic mental health issues, but if this is something that's really important to you, then it might be worth actually talking to a therapist about it. And you shouldn't feel bad about that. But, you know, I'm not a psychologist, and I can't go super into depth on how to handle emotional trauma and all that stuff, but just consider that that could be another reason as well. With these things in mind, then of course it's important to look at techniques and things you can do to calm your nerves, and I just wanted to talk about more the deeper underlying reasons of why we get nervous. And hopefully this just brings in some ideas for you to think about. If you have any other ideas or any other tips you might have as to why someone might be nervous that maybe I didn't address in the video, go ahead and leave those in the comments. Thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. Click subscribe down there. I do a whole lot of theater related content, analysis videos, discussion videos. I upload at least once a week. I've been trying to upload actually more than that lately. Once again, thanks for watching. Keep loving theater, and I'll see you next time.